What will you never do?
Heroin.
Okay, good.
What's going on, guys? My name is Undertone, and today Thorn Rose is at Adam's place. Stay tuned and check it out.
I'm right here if you wanna be a product of the sorrow and joy. I see a screen between us and the other side of the coin. Tell me what you want and why you bother with me. What were you like when we were young and what you wanted to be? Did you dream big dreams and I don't mean in your sleep? Well, tell me of the world and what you wanted to see. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't kinda intrigued, but I'm cautious at heart, don't be surprised if I leave. A previous experience prevents me from persistence. I'm suspicious, I don't trust, and it's just something that I live with. Her eyeliner's drying, I can tell that she's been crying. I am sorry if I ever come across as if I'm lying, I never would. Just tell me that you want me by your side and I'll be there for good. I remember she was drunk and I remember her tears. Wanna kiss her on the cheek and try to settle her fears. I can see you're disappointed when it's left to your peers. I'm not saying that it's real, but if you need me, I'm here. If you need me, I'm right here if you wanna be a product of the sorrow and joy. I see a screen between us and the other side of the coin. I'm right here if you wanna be a product of the sorrow and joy. I see a screen between us and the other side of the coin. Show me what you want and why you bother with us, and why you're treating me this way and why you're causing a fuss. Because I'm sick of it, intentionally distant just a little bit. Talk as if it's real, but then we never seem to stick with it. I've given it some thought and I've been giving up my time. I wonder if you think that I will follow by design. I'm not the only one, as if I wanna fall in line. When you flirt with other guys, I'm not competing for your mind. I see it's all a front, Mrs. I don't give a fuck. Mrs. Drink until I'm drunk so I can bottle it all up. And I'm so insecure that I pretend that I'm a slut, so I can justify mistreating every guy that I could love. You glorify November, then you switch up like the seasons. I mentioned I don't trust and you just justified my reasons. I almost slipped up and fell for something to believe in. Your simple immaturity's the reason that I'm leaving. I'm right here if you wanna be a product of the sorrow and joy. I see a screen between us and the other side of the coin. I'm right here if you wanna be a product of the sorrow and joy. I see a screen between us and the other side of the coin.
Welcome back to another Adam's Place. Tonight on the show we have the very talented Mr. Sean Hickland, aka Undertone. Sean, pleasure to have you on the show, mate.
Thanks for having me. I'm enjoying myself.
No problem. I seen you were playing on Wednesday night there. How'd that go?
It went pretty well. A couple great bands were playing. I was playing with a guitar player, which was the first time I've played with anybody else other than just myself.
Tracks,
yeah. So that was pretty fun. It added like a whole other dynamic to performing,
Yeah.
you know, a bit more live as opposed to just having the backing track and stuff. So it was good fun. Pretty good turnout as well. There was plenty of people turned out to show support for the bands and stuff that were playing. So, I mean, just to have everybody there and like partying and having a good time was, it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Awesome. That's what we want. What was that? Kind of like the first show of your new single and stuff like that there, was it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played 5 songs, and only 2 of them are released.
Okay.
So there was a few that people didn't know, but they still sort of gravitated to it, and it seemed to do well. But the songs that people knew, like Other Side of the Coin, that's been out for a couple of weeks. Toxic, I put out the day before the gig, but Other Side of the Coin was probably the one that people were most familiar with. So that's definitely the one that people seem to enjoy the most.
So are you gigging much at the minute, or are you writing, or what's going on at the minute?
Well, most of the time I'm just working on music at home. I produce all of my own music, so there's a lot that goes into it time-wise.
Yeah.
Because I mean, from sitting down to actually produce the song and then write it, record it. At the minute, I'm still mixing and mastering all my own music and stuff. So like, there's a load of time that goes into it. As far as shows and gigs, I played that one on Wednesday, and then next weekend I'm playing Sunflower Fest.
Awesome. Would you like to be like playing more than what you are at the minute, or are you happy enough kind of just recording and writing?
Bro, I'd be on stage every single night if I had the opportunity. 100%. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely something I want to get more experience with. I mean, that was the first time I've played a show in like a while. I've only been on stage like a handful of times, but it's so addictive to get on stage and like play your own music and have people give a reaction. And it's a whole other realm for me to like improve at. Because when I started writing lyrics, it was a whole thing like, well, I just fell in love with writing, and then over time you see yourself getting better. When I started producing, I just started, and the first beat that I made was dog shit. It was terrible. But 6 months later, you're working on something, and then you listen to that first thing that you did, and you're like, wow, there's actually a difference here.
Yeah.
And getting on stage is the same thing. Like, I get off stage and I can recognize where I went wrong and this little nuance that I could have done better, and it's just my mind working, trying to perfect it and get better. So it's a whole other dynamic that I just want to throw myself entirely into. And
Sweet.
People buy you pints after, so like.
Well, that's always good. Like
the silver lining,
especially because you don't drive. So,
yeah, exactly.
So you performed your new single there, "Other Side of the Coin," for us at the start of the show. What is that song about, and what influenced you to write it?
Other Side of the Coin is sort of it's written about that process where you sort of meet someone, whether it's like a friend or a relationship or like an acquaintance or whatever, and you take an interest or you're intrigued by them when you first meet them and what you think they are. Then you spend a bit of time with them and get to know them and realize that they're not what you initially thought.
Yeah.
So you're seeing how they really are. You're seeing the other side of the coin.
Right. Okay,
so that's kind of where that came from. It was a really easy song to write because, like, sometimes if you sit down to write a song, you're like, okay, I need to, formulate this whole world in my head and try and write about it with imagery and things like that. But with this one, it was just like an actual scenario that I was just writing about, so it just sort of like
an experience you had. Like,
I just wrote what happened, and then I was like, okay, that's it. It's actually kind of an old song as well. I originally put it out like a year ago, but then I don't know. I shot a music video like right after I put it out last summer, and then there was delays with the music video coming out. So then the music video was only just being released like a month ago when we got it finished. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna release it now, I may as well just like rework it a little bit, do another mix on it, make it sound better, and then release it. So we just re-released it with a music video and a new mix on it, and it just sounded a lot better. And the music video helped people, recognize it and see it a lot better. It did, yeah, it did, because the music video was the first one that I've done that was like had a story to it. Done other music videos, but they were all just kind of like performance shots and just trying to make me look cool. This one actually had a narrative, and I sort of had the whole thing planned out, and I had almost like a screenplay without dialogue. Plus the music video was a lot of fun to shoot as well. The music video was like my first experience with acting, which I've never done before, which was getting me out of my comfort zone and like a really cool experience there. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
The name Undertone, where does that come from?
It's a good question. It's not anything to do with the undertones.
I can't assume that.
That's what everybody assumes. It actually has not. It was just actually a massive coincidence that I'm from the same sort of area that they're from, or the same place. Where it actually came from was whenever I started writing lyrics. It was all rap lyrics when I was like 14. That's what I started with, and I had 2 friends at school who did the same thing, and just with the culture of rap music and the way that things are, you almost always have a rap name to go with it. And when I was 14 and I was like all into it, I was like, yeah, like Sean Hickland just isn't gangster enough at all to make rap songs with. So I was like, I need some sort of pseudonym to go under. And so it was just me and my friends were all just kind of racking our brains like, yeah, what can we, because it was just fun. Like we didn't start out like, yeah, we're gonna have, this is marketable and this is, you know, we can brand this. It was just like just fun for us going to a friend's house and recording in like his closet. So I was racking my brain trying to come up with a name, and I was listening to a Linkin Park song. No, I wasn't listening to the Undertone. I'll get to that part after. I was listening to Linkin Park's Numb.
Yeah.
There's a part in the song where he's saying caught in the undertow.
Yeah.
And I thought he was saying caught in the undertone. And I was like, yo, that's a cool ass word. And I was just sort of stuck in my head for a little bit, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with this. And I like brought it up to my friends, and they were like, yeah, why not? And so I just started putting out really like shit songs with that name on YouTube when I was like 14, 15. And
are they still on YouTube?
They are not.
God
I hope they aren't. Actually, my friend was playing some of my old music in my house like last week, and I was just like, turn that off immediately.
But then it's good to see where you come from too. Like,
yeah, it's like back
to
what I was saying about making beats. Like listening to myself when I was 15, I was like, wow, I've really came a long way. Like even if what I'm doing now isn't anywhere near my peak, because I know it isn't, but like to see the distance, you're like, wow, I've actually put in a lot of work at this, and the improvements there.
But what age are you now?
I'm 21.
Right. Okay. So
the Undertone thing came about like that, and then I didn't actually know who the Undertones were until maybe 3 years later, when I was like 16, 17, and I was doing my research, because I came from like listening to just straight rap music.
Yeah.
I didn't really listen to anything else until I was like 16 or 17. That's when I sort of stumbled across the whole legacy of the Undertones and Terry Hooley and Good Vibrations and all that stuff. And I was like, wow, that's a mad coincidence. And now everyone's just going to think I jacked their name. But
just took an ass off.
If you heard it here first, it's
that's
not.
What he did.
It's not.
He did. I don't believe him.
I'm Undertone. They're the Undertones. There's a mad difference.
There is.
There's a huge difference. There's a bit of an age gap as well.
I think. Well.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
There aren't many rappers around these parts, to be fair. What made you get into rapping?
It was never really. I never really thought anything of it. I mean, when I was younger and I was aware that like I would go to school and like nobody else would be rapping. There was I had like two friends who rapped as well, but I was still conscious that like nobody else was doing it. And for a long time, I actually thought like I was the only person that rapped like in Northern Ireland or in Belfast. But obviously there are other people. There's people doing their thing now. Especially with social media, it's so easy to find them. Yeah. But I don't know. When I was younger, I would be at home in my room, and it would just be something that I did for fun. And then as soon as I fell in love with it, I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to do it for a living. It was never really, I never really second guessed it. Although you can still feel the distance if you're like between me doing it and people watching me do it, especially when I'm like 15 and like I suck. So I'm like, wow, this is really like no girls are going to give me play. I'm not, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just loved it too much to really give it a second thought, even though I realized that it probably wasn't like the coolest thing for like a white 14, 15-year-old from Belfast to be doing. I just didn't really care at all. Especially back then, I looked like way whiter than I am now. I had long hair and shit, and it just wasn't playing out. But I don't know, I just loved it, because when I go home, and even if say for example, if I have a shit day at school or whatever, whatever horrible problems a 15-year-old goes through, you can go home and write about whatever you want, and it literally takes you to a whole other universe. And I think it's healthy for people to have that kind of outlet.
Why do you think we have such a lack of rap artists here?
There isn't even like a lack, especially in the last few years. There's definitely been more and more people doing it. I think the thing that we're missing is just our own sound. I just think we need more, almost like something to facilitate it. You know what I mean? Because there's so many artists, but there isn't like a whole lot of events that are maybe booking the artists, or maybe maybe it's just on the business side of things, because there's like people that make music and they're making it in their bedroom and they're putting it out online, but maybe the only thing that they really understand is like how to make music, and there isn't really any
Performance aspect.
yeah, well, not even the performance, because there is gigs and stuff happening sometimes, but like it's more like how to market themselves and how to get themselves out there, because with social media being so overpolluted, like it can be difficult to really understand like how to get it out there, and it's something that I think every artist is sort of just trying to figure out on their own.
So you released your other single there called Toxic on Tuesday.
I did.
And are we going to see a music video for this one, or what's happening?
For Toxic, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to shoot a video for it. I had an idea for a video in my head, but there's another, because I'm sitting on like some music. I'm sitting on a lot of music. So I've got sort of like a release strategy plan that we're...
Are you thinking an EP, an album, or
kind of like that. The way
discography?
Kind of. What I'm going to do is just release a bunch of singles and then maybe compile them into an EP.
So all your stuff has Thorn Rose on it?
It does.
What is Thorn Rose?
Thorn Rose is a record label that me and my friend Peter started. It was just sort of an idea that I had, and I was like, yeah, this sounds really cool. I made a logo for it, and then he was like, okay, we should both do this because two heads is better than one. And beforehand, I was trying to do everything myself, and it's just not realistic. Like, there's so much work that goes into it, because there's so much business behind the music. Yeah. If you want to make a living off of it, that it's overwhelming, especially when you take so much of the creative process into your own hands. Like, because I'm producing, writing, recording, and then mixing, and then releasing, and marketing, and branding, and shooting the videos, and trying to budget everything. It's like, you know, and I work full time as well, so it's like completely pickles my brain. But then he was like, yo, let me send some emails, let me do some things, and I was like, okay, cool. And we just we got it legit set up as like a business, and we've just been cracking away at it. The plan is, like, at the minute I'm just releasing all my music through it. It's just a medium for me to put things out and distribute them to streaming platforms. But it's a lot more than that. I want it to be so much bigger, both in the context of like being able to do other ventures through it. Like if I want to do a clothing line, if I want to make a movie, if I want to put on an event, if I want to, you know, start a airline, Thorn Rose Airline, you know what I mean? Like, give Richard Branson a run for his money or something.
Okay, Sean, it's quick fire round time. Pew, pew, pew. What's the best thing you've ever tasted?
This is quick fire. Best thing I've ever tasted?
Yeah, the best thing you've ever had.
Best thing I've ever eaten. When I was in Amsterdam, I had a bacon and cheese crepe.
Awesome.
All that needs to be said.
Okay, favorite beverage?
I'm going to say either tea or Guinness.
Nice. Both.
Or water.
Irish.
I'm a big water guy.
If you had a pet penguin, what would you call it?
Doug.
We finish the interview, you step outside, you find a lotto ticket for 10 million. What do you do next?
Invested into Thorn Rose. Build the biggest goddamn airline the world's ever seen.
Funniest thing you've ever
fun.
heard somebody say to you, it'd like shout at you, or somebody in the studio
a gig
said
I was
something.
playing when I was like 18. I was trying to get the crowd like amped up, and I was like gonna get them to repeat something that I said, and I was like, you need to scream this thing that I'm about to say, but this drunk woman in the crowd just didn't listen to the rest of it, and she just started screaming, like just howling her lungs out, and I was just like, I just sort of froze. I didn't know what to do, and like everyone else in the crowd just kind of looked at her, and there was no music playing, it was just silence, and then she just stopped screaming, and we were all just looking at her, and I was like, okay, so we're just gonna continue.
Moving on. Okay, can you name 3 consecutive days without using the words Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday?
3 consecutive days without saying which days?
Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, come on. Who would win a fight between Batman and Iron Man?
Undertone. Batman and Iron Man. Iron Man.
Okay. Strangest thing you've eaten?
It was either octopus or squid. I can't remember which one, and it wasn't my
they're
food.
Relatively the same.
They must be, because I don't know.
What will you never do?
Heroin.
Okay, good. Okay, right. Now is the capital question.
Oh, Christ.
You ready for this?
Yep.
Okay, what is the capital of Thailand?
Bangkok.
Yeah! Right, we're going to have to start making these capital questions a wee bit harder next week. Sean, where can our lovely audience come and see you play live?
Sunflower Fest on the Sunday. I think it's 8 o'clock or 8:30.
AM, PM?
PM, I hope. They're going to get me up out of my tent at 8 in the morning to perform. I need to get ready. I need to get in my zen
Zone,
mode.
yeah. Where can all these lovely people find out the latest news, updates, gigs, and song releases from yourself, mate?
Everything is on my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Undertone Music. My Twitter is Undertone_ because it has to be different for some reason. I'm also on all the streaming platforms, so Spotify, Apple Music, all that sort of stuff. You can just search Undertone on there. All the links to that stuff will be on my social media profiles, so you just check those out. You'll be able to find everything pretty easy.
Next week on the show, we have another very talented young man by the name of Ben Coulter. Check out him on Facebook, and if you guys have any questions you'd like to know about the artists that we have on the show, please send them in and we will ask them. Mate, you've been a true gent. Thanks very much.
This has been a lot of
coming
fun
on the show.
Making history. This is my first interview.
Yeah,
ever.
well, there you go. I've been Adam McKee. He's been Sean Hickland, aka Undertone, and this is Adam's Place. Thanks for dropping by.
People always talk because they're weak, pissy and they're jealous and they're bitter in defeat. Never met me but they seem so sure of me. Go and project your insecurities, ayy. Keep talking slick, die for likes and they live for clicks. I see the people in the seats, I follow dreams, don't follow tweets. The feelings in the chords, so I'm talking with my keyboard. You're talking of me talking with my keyboard on your keyboard, that's weird. Shit when you're online, hey. I'll talk shit when they're in line, hey. Talk shit when you're online, hey. I'll talk shit when they're in line, hey. People never try because of fear, but I could never lie to the person in the mirror. I was always gonna be a big fish, whiskey in the jar, and I'm busy writing hits. Hey, don't talk to me. If it isn't money, it's a loss to me. Not concerned with the cost or fee. I'm spending time so cautiously. Thorned rose, independent, still broke, I'm not spending. Hard work, it's not hard when living life like rock stars. Hey. You talk shit when you're online, hey. I'll talk shit when they're in line, hey. You're toxic when you're online, hey. I'll talk shit when they're in line, hey. Stuck inside my mind and every single thought is I can win. I'll never settle for the norm, I'll never settle for the life I'm in. I put trust into my gut, it's never luck, it's just the fight within. Working till the sun rises and the light gets in. Physically I'm tired, but lyrically inspired. It's always he can never get it till he gets it, and he's admired. I work and I dream, I give everything, even if they don't like what I sing. I push and I push and I push, wishing that I can be king. Hope and I pray, I work every day, believe in myself, don't care what they say. They see in me, I see in they. I'm playing to win, not playing to play. Keep to myself to keep them at bay, simply cause they just get in my way. Trying my best, defying the rest. Every single thing they say is
toxic, 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 toxic.